you can only do remarketing
Yep.
profitably.
Yep.
If you start, the top of funnel ads, it actually, kind of derails a small seller when they are starting out.
Mm.
How should they approach the market, especially in 2024?
Amazon breaks into endemic and non-endemic. So the non-endemic
Yeah,
team
yeah.
handles, all that stuff to obviously and it makes complete sense, right? So that Amazon can make more money. That's a tough question.
I want to put
Hmm.
brackets here and just point out that FBA fees are really high right now.
Continuing to go on.
Yeah,
So I'd
yeah.
say that would be my pro tips. One, get a differentiated product. Two, make sure there's some sort of market for it. Three, make sure you have Vine to get social proof via reviews. Four, have strong creative. Three unique selling points. One social proof, one lifestyle image. And five, have budget set aside for ads. All three sponsored products. This is kind of like a black hole where it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
reviews.
you could go down a rabbit hole real quick for reviews, and then DSP as well. You have an agency
Yep.
doing one thing, you'd have a company doing another, and they weren't aligned on goals. You're going up to some random person's house, you're like, "What's up? Your window?
Yeah.
Need a new one?"
Amazon like internal team at an advantage from the external people who are doing Amazon advertising, or is it just a myth? Hi George, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great as well. So George, can you introduce yourself for the audience?
Yeah. So yeah, like Saeed said, my name is George. Founder at Extension Ecom. We just help businesses on Amazon grow on Amazon.
Awesome. And how is your second name pronounced? I couldn't get it right.
You're good. Schwartz. So it's German.
Shorts. Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice. So you're basically from Germany, or you're based in USA?
Based in the USA. So actually, my last name's German, but I'm more Irish than anything. But yeah, my parents' last name is just German, but we're primarily Irish. I don't know how it happened.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. And I looked at your university. It was Prague. You studied from Prague, yeah?
Yeah, I studied in Prague for a semester, and then I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the USA for majority of my school.
Nice. So how was that? How was Prague experience?
I was cool. It was a lot different than anything in the US. Just like everything is different there, from architecture to language, to kind of the food they typically eat. Just everything was different. So it was a really good experience. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Nice. So how did you stumble upon the Amazon space? Were you working in there before, or did you come across as a service provider, or did you start your own selling your own stuff and then moved into
Yeah,
services?
good question. So originally I started in just general sales in a student organization in college called the American Marketing Association. So in the American Marketing Association, we didn't really have any sponsors, and essentially a sponsor just provides the organization with funding, and then in return they get access to student talent for internships or job opportunities, etc. So we had no sponsors, we had no funding, and yeah, I ended up just becoming like the person who ran the sponsorship side of things. And through
Nice.
that, I was basically reaching out to businesses in the Milwaukee area. That's where I went to school, and saying, "Hey, we have this student organization. Would love to partner up." And I would do like sales competitions with them, or I'd have them come speak at a meeting. We'd do events. So like with one company, we went to a bar and just everybody like networked. So it was their kind of
Yeah.
recruiting team and their employees and like all of our organization. So I did that, and I also competed in sales competitions in college.
Awesome.
And then through those experiences, I met a sponsor named Trip. Trip sold windows. They did door-to-door window sales in the Milwaukee area. So they recruited a lot of college talent to knock doors.
Yeah.
So they had a ton of people from our organization. His cousin worked at Amazon in AWS. So I was looking for a job in like B2B sales, and Trip knew me, and I had gotten him a ton of people. So he referred me over to his cousin. His cousin referred me to Amazon, and I got lucky, got the job. So I learned all of the digital marketing stuff through Amazon. So I was at Amazon for 2 years. First 6 months was like pure training program. It's called the Associate Account Executive Program. It's like
Yeah.
basically back to school. So in that 6-month period, we had like weekly program elements. So we had like a weekly writing element, a weekly like tools element, a weekly pitch element, where we learned how to write better, learned how to use the tools, read the data, learn how to pitch. From there, we also helped, at the time I was helping a lot of beauty companies, and then I transitioned to pet. So then I was, in the pet niche, I was the main point of contact for Pet Lab Co., one of the largest in the dog supplement space, main point of contact for Fur Haven, the market leader in pet beds. I was the main point of contact for Benebone, the market leader in chew toys. Long story short there, um, basically, I just didn't enjoy kind of the internal aspect of Amazon, but I really loved the Amazon side of Amazon. So I
Yeah,
decided I wanted
yeah.
to start my own company, support Amazon companies kind of with my own goals and, working towards their goals a little bit better. And that's how this all kind of started.
That's pretty awesome, actually. So, my obvious first question
Mhm.
is Amazon at a like internal team at an advantage from the external people who are doing Amazon advertising, or is it just a
Mm.
myth?
No, I actually don't think the internal team is at an advantage. I think because they're like a sales team, right? So they're assigned a
Yeah,
quota. So finance team essentially provides everybody in the ads organization a quota, and you have to go out and try to hit that ad spend number. So a lot of times you're actually like disincentivized to provide really strong advice on like what companies should do, and you're more incentivized to get them to spend money. And we know those don't always go hand in hand, right? Sometimes companies truly just
yeah,
need to focus on profitability and cut back. Other times they truly
yeah,
do need to ramp up and scale. So in the instance that you have companies that are really like pedal to the metal trying to scale, you have so much more first party data and you can come in and really support that growth. But in the situation that you have companies that don't want to scale, a lot of times they just get deprioritized because you have to think about like, how do I get paid? And a lot of times I don't get paid
yeah,
by the companies that need to cut back. I only get paid by the companies that scale. So it's like
yeah.
the answer is kind of it depends, right? Like if companies are looking to scale internal, they're at an advantage. If the companies aren't, they're not going to be able to provide the best support, just how the system is set up.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense there. So, how did you find that? Obviously, there is a big element in your life that you first started with physical, going to the physical businesses and talking to them, and now you have to
Hmm.
reach them out on digital, totally digital. So, how's that experience different? And also, I think
Hmm.
the when you were working, it was like uh, COVID, before COVID era, right? And
Yeah,
after
yeah,
COVID, it's
COVID, yeah.
just it's very different. Like, yeah, it's yeah, I think the whole world has changed, to be very honest, because now I
Hmm.
think door to door is kind of gotten more weird, or am I wrong? Because yeah, the way I see
Well,
it is because now people are afraid to touch other people, especially
yeah.
the
So I personally never did the door to door. I just brought in the sponsor. What I will say is door to door is always weird. You're going up to some random person's house. You're like, "What's up? Your window.
yeah,
Need a new one?" Um, so yeah, it's always weird. But the thing about door to door is like it's the toughest sales job you'll ever do. So if people are like looking to break into sales, door to door is great because they typically pay no base, but they pay a really strong commission. So if you get good at
yeah,
door to door, you make a lot of money and you get a really good experience on your resume, and you can do that with literally no experience prior. And again, I've never done door to door, but I know people who have made a lot of money doing door to door. We had a freshman in college at the time on our team. He did like $100,000 in window sales doing door to door
nice,
knocking that summer. He's like, yeah, man,
yeah,
if I worked a normal job, I would have made like a fourth of the money. So like you can make a lot of
yeah,
money. It's just it's a really gritty job. Now that being said, yeah, the whole world has kind of changed. Door to door in the US is still very prominent. I know people that still make money doing it. Um, but for me, in terms of like the difference between like what I was doing with the sponsorship compared to Amazon, I think that um, they both had a strategic element, but uh, the sponsorship was a lot lower stakes, right? Because it was like, hey, a couple $1,000 and you get exposure to college talent and maybe they become an intern. Versus
yeah,
at Amazon, we're talking to, 8-figure companies that are looking
yeah,
to either grow or change or pivot their strategy. So it's a lot more intense from a data side. When I'm pitching
yeah,
sponsorship, I'm like, hey, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a competition. You're going to get to come to a meeting. We can do a networking event, right? It's pretty basic. Versus
yeah,
for Amazon, it's like, hey guys, like in order to hit your sales goal, we need to have XYZ budget. How I got to that number is I
Yeah.
work backwards from, this. Here's the data showing that, hey, we really need to move up the funnel. Our branded search is a little bit lower than the category, yada, 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 right? So you have to do a lot
Yeah.
more intense data analysis and more strategic recommendations on the Amazon side, which was probably the biggest adjustment for me is like learning how to build out a data-based pitch and then how to have that pitch actually scale a company was, yeah, the biggest change.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So, how did you come about the this title for your company? How did you come on that name? Yeah, Extension Ecom, because it's
Yeah.
actually very catchy. Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you. So I'm trying to think back. So I know the core elements of it, right? So the first thing is I didn't want it to just be Amazon in case I ever wanted to expand. So we're strictly focused on Amazon. We only do Amazon all day, every day. Um, but if we look at like a 5, 10, 15, 20 year time horizon, potentially there is a world where we do more e-commerce, right? So maybe that's
yeah,
Shopify or
yeah,
whatever it could be. So like long-term thinking, I didn't want it to be an Amazon word. And I think a great example of this actually is Better AMS recently transitioned to BTR Media because they wanted to
yeah, yeah,
also, yeah, not just be tied to Amazon. Um,
yeah,
so like when I was kind of making this, I was like, I don't ever want to go through a rebrand. So
yeah,
we'll just
yeah,
make it general. Now for the extension, the reason why I did extension is because when I was at Amazon, uh, I had a good amount of companies, right? And you'd have an agency
yep,
doing one thing, you'd have a company doing another, and they weren't aligned on goals. So that led to agency churn. So what I was thinking is I wanted to be more of like an extension of a person's internal team. So every single month we're working towards their internal goals. We're re-upping. We're trying to figure out, okay, what goals do we need to pace to this month? Hey, if we're not in a growth mindset anymore and we need to focus on profitability, we'll meet you there. Right. So I wanted to feel more like an extension of an internal team rather than a third party who only does one thing. And then the combination of the two was Extension Ecom.
yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense because in the agency space, I have the problem that I have seen is that agencies are only focused on only one thing, and that
Hmm.
often the goals are not aligned with the agency and
Yep.
the other person, and also there is a strong communication gap as well because
Yep.
a person is thinking another thing. So yeah, extension ecom makes a lot of sense, and I hope you guys can bridge that gap, because once you bridge that gap, it actually helps them
Yeah.
uh, a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the same thought process, right? So like we started off just kind of paid ads, and to your point, like people need a lot more than paid ads. So then the transition to
yep.
SEO because SEO wasn't good. Okay, we got the paid ads, we got the SEO, but they're not converting. Okay, cool. How do we, improve conversion rate of this listing through the images, the video, the A plus? Okay, now we're selling out of the product. Okay, how
Yeah.
do we keep them in stock? All right, we need some sort of inventory
Yeah.
reporting or forecasting system, right? Um, so yeah, to your point, just trying to eat all of the customers' complexity, like all the issues they have, we'll take them on. We want to be like that extension of their team, and then hopefully through that, right, we achieve their goals. And goals also change, right? So sometimes you're in a growth phase, sometimes you're launching new products, sometimes you just need to be efficient because your supply chain is not working out, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I fully agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. So my next question would be, so you guys provide all of the services for Amazon, right?
So as many as possible, and we're continuing to learn more. Don't have any like sort of reviews, just because reviews is kind of like a black hole where it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Reviews is,
you could go, yeah, you could go down a rabbit hole real quick for reviews, and then DSP as well. We haven't had any clients of the size that truly justify like a
yeah.
transition from sponsored display to like true DSP. Because
Yeah.
I'll hear people say like, yeah, we run DSP, audit the console and it'll be sponsored display. So we don't have any true DSP service. We do sponsor display. We don't have any like kind of review service.
Yeah. So where I work, we have a DSP service, but the problem is
Hmm.
that since the product is so small, it's a $30 product.
Hmm.
So the problem is you can only do remarketing
Yeah.
profitably.
Yep.
If you start, the top of funnel ads, it actually kind of derails pretty quickly, because before I started on $100, $150, even $600 products
Hmm.
on Amazon. So that was pretty good, because even if you spend $100 on top of funnel, you still have $500 left where you can make your profit. So yeah,
Yeah.
uh, DSP is, I think it's for bigger products. And also another
Mm,
thing that I have noticed, especially during my time in Dubai, is that a lot of out of Amazon brands are picking up DSP. So
mhm.
whenever you log into Amazon, you will see Dodge was advertising a lot. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
that,
Non-endemic. Yeah. So basically Amazon breaks it into endemic and non-endemic. So the non-endemic
yeah, yeah,
team handles, yeah, all that stuff to obviously like, and it makes complete sense, right? So that Amazon can make more money. For my experience with upper funnel, what I saw work the best in terms of like company sizing, because some companies with smaller dollar amounts actually saw really good
yeah,
success with upper funnel, but that was more in terms of the size of the company. So I think what you need to have it for like a $30 product company to make upper funnel work is you need to be one of the market leaders in your space and you need to be kind of tapped out in search. So like you're maxed on sponsored products, you're pretty much maxed
yeah,
on sponsored brands, and you've captured
yeah,
all the low hanging fruit. Yeah, and you're like one of the
yeah,
top, one, two, three, four BSR in the space
yeah,
consistently across multiple products. And
yeah,
that's where upper funnel, because then you can justify spending 20K
yeah,
for no return.
yeah,
And then what you
yeah,
want to look at is like your non-branded search index, right? Like, are more people just straight up searching for you? Are more
yeah,
people just straight up getting to your detail page? And like that becomes the goal. And then at the highest level, which I never dealt with like a Purine or anything, but just from like internal trainings, at the highest level, it's like just the frequency of impressions you're putting out, right? Think about Apple. Like Apple is everywhere. Well, at least I'm in Chicago. Apple's everywhere, billboards, everything.
yeah, yeah,
It's just the frequency of impressions. You're constantly seeing Apple. So the second my AirPods die, I'm gonna go straight to Apple because I see Apple
yeah,
24/7. I know exactly when every single new phone releases. I know everything,
yeah,
but they're not profitable on every single billboard. They're just playing a
yeah,
frequency of impressions, top of mind at all times. When you need to make a purchase, you then go and make a purchase from them because you're just constantly thinking about Apple, right? So that's how I like to think
yeah.
of upper funnel.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense as well, because the reason I'm smiling is because as soon as I moved to Dubai, Apple is everywhere in Dubai, and as soon as the
Yeah.
15 was launched, I don't know, I subconsciously wanted one, and I actually went to the shop and I almost bought it. Good
Yep.
thing my card declined and that I
Yeah.
couldn't buy it, and then I came home and I was like, stop, stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shout out to the credit card company. Yeah, you got to keep the credit card at home sometimes, you know. But yeah, same exact thing is like, yeah, they just get you. They get you by constantly hitting you. And I think there was data at Amazon. It's like 8 to 12 impressions to actually leave like some sort of recognition. So when you start seeing Apple in that 8 to 12 times in a row, put the credit card
Yeah,
away and then
yeah.
go to the Apple store. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, based on your experience, what would you recommend, a small seller when they are starting out?
Mm.
How should they approach the market, especially in 2024?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think for small sellers just starting out, like product selection is probably the most important thing. Like I
Yep.
will consistently see brands that are doing like mid six figures, low seven figures, and nothing is like 100% correct. Like their SEO, not 100% correct. Their PPC, not up to best practice. Their images, everything across the board. But the one thing they have right is they have a differentiated product with good reviews. So I think if you are looking to launch, you need to identify a product that is truly differentiated. You probably just can't white label a replica from China. The fees
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and everything that goes into that these days, it's so difficult to make a profit, and then you also have to move so much volume to make a profit that like, is it worth your
yeah,
time? So I'd say start with truly identifying a differentiated product. And um, I think it was like a Hormozy podcast or something that I was listening to. They talk about like how to do that, and it's like you should look at things that you use, that you used, or that you're going to use, and like what are the problems with those things, and start there. And then once you identify things that you used to use, you know, as in like when you were like
yeah,
16, or things that you're currently using, or that things that you think you're going to need in the next 5 years, then you should think about, okay, what's the problem those things had and how can I solve it for that demographic? And then you should go source the product and launch it. Now, for Amazon specifically, you can there's a million YouTube tutorials out there, but just go on YouTube and look up like helium 10 X-ray like tutorial, And once
Yeah,
you have some ideas, yeah, just run the X-ray and see, like, is there a market for this on Amazon? Like, are reviews insane? Are they poor? How many competitors? But I would start with just figure out a differentiated product that solves a problem, then analyze the market, then build the product. And then in terms of like truly launching on Amazon, because all that is like pre-launch, you're gonna need money to advertise. If you do not have money to advertise, you're just not gonna go anywhere. So
yeah,
make sure you can afford, probably like at least 3K plus per month on ad spend, and I
yeah,
would funnel all of that into sponsored products. Don't worry about any of the other ad
yeah,
solutions. Amazon throws a lot at you. And then I'd also bucket aside Vine. You need social proof right off the bat. So put 30 of your products through Vine, get that initial social proof, and
yeah,
then pair that with ad spend. And the last thing is have good creative. And for good creative, it's super important because that's how you're going to communicate to customers how you differentiate, right? You took all the time to find a
yeah,
differentiated product. You need to communicate that. So in your images, what you need to do is you need to talk about your unique selling point, your first one, your second one, your third one. You should have at least three. Um, so a brand that does this really good is Nivea. They have like a sunscreen lip balm that does a really good job of it's just one theme and it's just like UVA, UVB. I can't remember the exact verbiage. Like in their lip balm, and like that's the only theme on that. And then the next one is whatever. But I always reference that UVA, UVB image because one thing I see a lot of people do is they have like so much in one image. It's like, dude,
yeah,
no one's gonna, yeah. So like just one
yeah,
theme, right? So your unique selling point one, whatever it is. So like, let's say we sold I don't know, I'm blanking now, a collagen sleeping mask, right? One image is
yeah,
probably the fact that it is collagen. Okay, what is collagen? Why does it
yeah,
help somebody? Why is that a unique selling point for your product? Next up, sleeping mask. How does applying it overnight help somebody versus applying it in the morning, right? And then whatever the third one might be, we help a Korean collagen sleeping mask brand. So then the third one could be Korean, right? Korean has a super high search volume. People want Korean products. So let's talk about the fact that it is Korean, right? That's unique selling point one, two, and three. From there, you want to go into social proof. So they have like dermatologists that back it or whatever from like a Korean institution. So like you should say that, right? Like if you have clinical studies, if you have if you're backed by a dermatologist, a vet, a pediatrician, whatever it might be. If you're in publications, right? Like you seen in GQ, seen on whatever, make a social proof
yeah,
slide.
yeah, yeah.
And then the last one is lifestyle. Show the outcome of your product being used. And then that is the creative you need to use. And also don't sleep on video, create a video doing the same exact stuff. So I'd
Yeah.
say that would be my pro tips. One, get a differentiated product. Two, make sure there's some sort of market for it. Three, make sure you have Vine to get social proof via reviews. Four, have strong creative. Three unique selling points. One social proof, one lifestyle image. And five, have budget set aside for ads, all through sponsored products. Don't worry about anything else. That's what I recommend.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, if you are solving a customer's problem, then obviously that product is going to sell, and
Yep.
that's a very important point because mostly people who start Amazon, they start it for the sake of starting Amazon. So they are
Hmm.
not thinking about solving a problem. They are just thinking about getting a profitable product, and
Yep.
mostly the profitable products are useless. Especially these days that I'm seeing that the
Hmm.
I don't see a use for that product, so why would I buy it or why would anyone else buy it? And
Yep.
about the creative image, you are so right because I was actually looking for a product for my hair, and then I couldn't like I was just scrolling through Amazon, and there was this one image. There was this guy with really long hair, like
Hmm.
his hair was like this. So that was the main image, and I
Yeah.
stopped there. I was like, I was like, look at this person, like he was
Yeah.
so far down, but yeah, I stopped there because it was really interesting. So yeah,
The hair
sometimes
caught your
these
eye.
kind of things, yeah, the hair
Yeah.
caught
Yeah.
my eye.
Did you want that
So
hair, or were you like, I'll never have that hair?
I want that hair.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. Did they get you to buy then?
I did buy it. Yeah, it was
All
a
right.
good
All
one.
right.
It was a good product. Yeah. So,
Power of creative right
but
there.
yeah. So, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense because a lot of people, skip on those things and then they just want to, maximize the profitability out of it. But I think if you invest in good amount of creative and also if you invest in good quality of products, that is going to, give you higher returns in the long term
Yep.
rather than, you saving money in the starting. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
That makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense. And since you
99% of the
mentioned
battle
that,
right there.
yeah, since you mentioned that there are a lot of platforms, other than Amazon, what do you think is going to be the best platform in 2026 or 2027, like 2 years from now?
That's a tough question.
I want to
Hmm.
put brackets here and just point out that FBA fees are really high right now.
Continuing to go up. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the Amazon team feels about their sellers. Um, I don't know. It's tough because every platform, I think like a great quote is like grass isn't greener on the other side, it's greener where you water
Yeah,
it or whatever. I think like the
yeah,
platform that's going to do best for each specific brand in 2026 and 2027 is going to be the infrastructure they laid out in 2024 and
yeah,
2025. So if you're investing a ton of money and time into mastering Amazon, like that'll probably be your best platform. If you are starting to like dive super deep into Shopify or whatever, like I think just I again, it goes back to it depends, right? I would look at like everything for your specific brand, right? Like, what are your margins? What is your ad performance? What are you like? What are your capabilities per platform? Because D2C, like the flip side of that is, I think D2C is a lot more difficult than Amazon. Amazon has a lot of things streamlined,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
there's a ton of bandwidth, effort, and skill that needs to go to D2C. And I have brands that are more profitable on Amazon than D2C, even with the
yeah,
scaling fees. So I would say, think through what your biggest constraint is as a business, whether that's profitability, whether that's traffic, whether that's quantity of products, whether that's geographical location. Identify the biggest constraint and tackle that. And if you just continue to tackle that over and over again, because like when you solve one constraint, another one pops up, right? So like
yeah,
let's say you get more traffic. Well, now we're not converting. Okay, let's get the conversion rate
yeah,
up. Okay, well we solved that, but now we're tapped out on marketing. What do we do? Okay, we need a new
yeah,
product line. So I just say continue to identify the constraint and solve that. And I wouldn't worry about 2026, 2027. Like when I think about my business, like if I planned out 2025 right now, like by Q3, I know that plan's out the door because I have so
yeah,
much stuff pop up. Yeah, it's like, okay, I actually
yeah,
need to be doing this. Okay, my customers
yeah,
actually want that. So I'd say, yeah, I wouldn't try to predict the future too much. I would just try to focus on what's directly in front of you, what's that constraint directly in front of you,
yeah,
start to work through that. But that also might just be the level of business thinker I am. So I'm sure there's other people out there that could answer that way better and be like, oh yeah, roadmap for 2024, 25, 26, 27. But for me personally, I've just seen planning in quarterly increments and going after what's the thing that's holding back the business the most has been the most successful for me.
yeah. So, I have a personal question that how long have you been running Extension Ecom for right now?
Yeah. So good question. You're in like 2 or 3 months. So we started in February 2023. So I was at Amazon. What would that be? 2021 to kick off the year through 2023. And then February 1st, 2023 started this. And then yeah, we're like you're in 2 or 3 months in.
Yeah. So I have a agency related questions now, and the first question would
Okay.
be, what's the best way to land an Amazon client? Because what I have seen for years is now, uh, Amazon clients are way different than the other business owners, because other business owners or SaaS, platforms, or other, retail owners, you can just directly go up to them. But Amazon are, at least on the digital side, they are kind of hidden.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
how
that's a
do, yeah,
great question. Yeah, so first off is you need to get leads, right? So in terms of Amazon specific, you can do it in a couple of ways. I have tried every way and I've failed in many. So there's gonna be like three real ways. I try to build a lead scraper. The issue with lead scrapers in Amazon, in my experience, is A, I'd either have to pay an extreme amount of money, or B,
yeah,
it's gonna break. So I paid for one to like scrape like the pet supplement category when I first started off, and like it scraped the
yeah.
majority of the pet supplement. But then when it went to like pet dog food, it broke. So then the step two is I started doing manual. So basically, I would go into Amazon and I created like an SOP and I had like a VA doing it. But I basically had a VA that would go in and manually identify all US based companies for a subcategory, right? So like just go down the list, click them out. You can go see the link, it'll tell you where their address is. So we tried that and saw good success. But the issue with that is it's very difficult to continually manually analyze every single category.
Yeah.
So we probably got like 10,000 plus leads just from manually doing that, transferred over to their Shopify website. A lot of those businesses don't have a Shopify website, so then you're shut down.
Yeah.
But for those that do, you just do the typical process, right? You throw them in Apollo, you check if there's any contacts, you grab the contacts, you reach
Yeah.
out to them. Then step three was lead list, right? So there's a lot of people out there that have a ton of data on their softwares. There's people that sell just bulk leads, etc. So then you can start going through them. Now those are more expensive options, and I would start with manual until you have enough revenue to justify a software or a lead list. And then when you have enough revenue,
Mm.
start buying from there so that you can scale. So that's how you would collect the leads. Now in terms of collecting or closing the client, or I guess like what was that your primary question? Just where do you get the leads from or anything else?
Yeah, 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 that was the primary question. Yeah, but
Okay.
go on. We need this. We need this.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a master class right now.
Masterclass. I mean, it's all just Alex Hormozy. So I would say check out Alex Hormozy, $100 million leads.
Yeah.
It's all in that book. It's going to be completely free on his podcast, but I can keep going. So yeah, from there, really for me, combination of cold outreach content, um, warm outreach, and then referrals. I haven't gotten to paid ads yet, but it's kind of on the radar of maybe I should scale it, maybe not. I think I should continue to work on my email marketing. But personally, yeah, so a lot of cold outreach, right? So you can do cold email, cold DM, cold call. Now, in terms of like my path, I started cold calling just because I had all the time in the world, right? I had no clients, all the time in the world, and I'm a decent talker. So if I can talk to someone, I feel like I stand a good
Yeah.
chance. With that being said, the issue with cold calling is you run out of time. So when you start getting your clients, you can't cold call anymore because
Yeah.
cold calling is like truly sit down, rip 8 hours of calls, hopefully talk to 5 people, hopefully get one
Yeah.
meeting, and hopefully
Yeah.
close them off that meeting. So then I transitioned more towards like a cold email, cold DM approach because you can hire people to do that, and
Yeah.
it's a lot less complex, right? So when you try to train a cold caller, you have to teach them objection handling, you have to teach them like tonality, you have to teach them so many things.
Yeah.
Versus if you hire someone to do cold email, you just need to teach them how to upload the emails, what scripts to send,
Yeah.
what replies, templates, etc. So then from there, I transitioned to cold email, cold DM, and now you can just send that out in bulk. Now for cold email and cold DM, you could do one of two things: offer or lead magnet. I'm trying to figure out lead magnet right now, so I can speak to offer. But basically, you just want to shoot your offer out into the marketplace and wait for people to come to you. And when they do come to you, you need to get them on a call. So you need to have some sort of follow-up sequence to entice them. I like to call it a mini pitch, right? It's like, let's say you get somebody on the phone and they are interested. You need a pitch immediately to keep them
Yeah.
in, or they're just going to get bored. Um, so yeah, so you just do the same thing, but via email, right? So you say, hey, are you interested? Oh, you're interested? Cool. This is what we do. We help businesses grow by
Yeah.
XYZ% in XYZ time, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Same thing via email. And you include a link. If they book, you're good. Now, most companies are going to do an audit in this situation. I also do an audit.
Yeah.
So audit their business and try to sell the implementation. I might try to transition that to a VSL. So it'd be like discovery call, VSL, close. VSL is just putting everything you're doing in the audit into what's called a video sales letter. Say, hey, we're Extension Ecom. Here's our offer. And then here's the analysis of your business that we go through. You have your listing optimization, you see your SEO inventory. We analyze everything, growth plan for you to achieve growth, over the next 5 months. And then what we do, and then it's like XYZ cost, right? So you send them VSL, come back to you, so I'm trying to get to that point. Get your somehow, reach out to them, cold call initially if you have time, cold game if you don't. From there, try to get onto an audit call, audit their business, pitch that you can implement everything for them, and then close them. And then the alternatives are, which I'm still learning, so I can't speak to them too in depth, but I would like to get to this level, is a lead magnet. So a lead magnet is essentially something to capture their attention. So like I'm trying to build out like an 8-step growth guide. Like, hey, we grew XYZ business by this percent. Want to check out our
Yeah.
8-step growth guide so you can do so as well. Cool. Here you go. You want to talk about it? Cool. And then I would like to switch to the VSL rather than the audit. Here's the VSL highlighting everything we do, what our services are, our case studies, etc., and then close. So those are the two ways to get clients.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's very, insightful. And yeah, I'm basically stuck in email marketing again. The reason I say again
Mm-hmm.
is I have been, down the path as well. There are lead generation companies, and I actually tested like bunch of them. So I was,
Yeah,
you know, there must be one that is good, and there wasn't. So
yeah.
I tested five of them, and not even one could understand the actual Amazon. Like to them, it was like shoot email to everyone. So they were sending emails to
Mm.
hospitals. Like I was like, why are you sending email to an hospital?
Yeah,
And
big lead quality issue. Yeah.
so yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
failed. And then, uh, to be very honest, I have seen more success on Upwork. So I'm
Yep.
trying to stick to that. So because if a person is coming in, he is of the mindset to
Yep.
because he actually has a problem that he needs an answer to. So yeah. But
Yep.
emails are, I'm gonna rediscover them. There are so many issues with them. Like I used to think it's just shooting an email, but once you
No.
start doing it, you realize that you need a workspace account, and then the Google bans you after 400 emails, and then there is so
Yeah.
much yeah, and then
Yeah,
scripting
there's a lot.
issues and stuff like that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think if you
I
do
would
it
say
properly,
definitely
then
go ahead, sorry.
yeah, I was saying if you do it properly, I think you need a team of like 7 people who are just doing email
No.
marketing.
No, no. Let's think
So the
here.
scripts and the stuff like that, you
About
know,
three people. Three people. Yeah.
yeah,
So okay. I think yeah, for your lead generation companies, you had a lead quality issue, right? They were just reaching out to the wrong
yeah,
people. So um I wouldn't take that as an L, right? Like you learn from it. So what I would start with is just getting good quality leads. For that, you need really one person. You need a lead list or
yeah,
somebody to do it. You can just create an SOP on how to do it as well. Um,
yeah,
from there, you're going to want to have emails at scale, right? I would not send just via one. You're going to have emails at scale in software. And then you're going to want to have somebody who uploads the emails, who checks the emails deliverability, who creates the
yeah,
emails, who replies to the emails, like an email,
yeah,
like essentially an email VA, right? So that's the second.
yeah,
Then you need someone to oversee the system, and that's you, right? So
yeah,
you only really need the three people, and then basically what you do is with the software you send in bulk. So you upload like 100 a day, and you have a
yeah,
sequence, like a flow, right? So you'll essentially be like, I'm trying to think what you would do here. So you would have sequence one, offer, sequence two, follow up, sequence three, follow up, sequence four, follow up, sequence five, follow up, right? You probably don't want to follow up 5 times. I typically do four. And then if people reply, you have your SOPs built out for the cold email VA. So the cold email VA
yeah,
creates the emails, they upload the emails, they reply to the emails, and basically everything up until the point that you hop on a call, they handle, and then you hop on the call,
yeah,
right? And all of the emails
yeah,
are under your name. So, you just do like 30 different variations of your,
yeah,
your domain, your name, etc. Um,
yeah,
and then you can start to push it at scale. So even though the lead gen agencies failed, it 100% can be done. And like I had kind of a similar mindset coming into cold email because I never did it before. Um,
yeah,
and then I was like, I think it was on Twitter. I saw like a tweet of like cold email is like a $8 billion industry, and I'm like, okay, if people in the world are making $8 billion in total off of cold email, I can make
yeah,
2 grand, right? So I was like,
yeah,
okay, I
yeah,
just got to figure out how to do it. So once you figure out how
yeah,
to do it, but it is a learning process. You can check out a
yeah,
lot of YouTube for cold email as well. There's a ton of people out there that are like really good at cold email that will just outline everything from deliverability, creation, scripting, etc.
yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And on advertising, like, how would you approach it? Like, for
Mhm.
advertising for an Amazon agency, because the way I see it,
Mm,
that then again, it's an audience issue, or on the Google side,
mm,
it's the like you can figure out the keywords. Obviously, that's not hard. But on
yeah,
Facebook or on TikTok, it's kind of an audience issue where what would be you
yeah,
be, suggesting. But I think after ChatGPT, the algorithm is good enough that it will be able to, get you some
yeah.
kind of results. So,
So
yeah, I think some.
again, I can't speak to this to my personal experience, but I can speak to it high level. I haven't run paid ads. Reason why is because going back to that constraint conversation we had earlier, is if I just double my cold email, in theory, I should just double the amount of leads I get in, right? So with that mindset, I think I should just continue to double cold email until I can't. So right now my
Yeah,
constraint is just the volume of cold email. Once I maximize that, right, like truly maximized it, Then I'm going to transition over to paid ads. Now for paid ads, I can only
Yeah.
speak at a high level, but typically people do a ClickFunnels VSL. So
Yeah.
if you're doing like a meta ad, and again, I can't speak to the targeting pools because again, I haven't run it. But what you could do is if you have that massive lead list from your
Yeah.
lead gen for cold email, is yeah, you could create a
Yeah.
custom audience and then a lookalike audience
Yeah. Yeah.
based
Look
on
a
it.
link audience. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then you have, like I probably have like 15,000 plus leads at this point, so I could target them, lookalike audience them, and
Yeah.
then your creative should probably just be your offer, right? Like, hey, we help
Yeah.
Amazon businesses grow by XYZ over XYZ time. If they click into the ad, it takes them to a VSL. So that VSL is what I was talking about high level when I want to switch my sales calls to from audits to
Yeah.
VSL. VSL is just going to outline offer, case studies, who you are, what you do. From there, they book a call, and then you close them. So that's how I do paid ads. But
Yeah.
again, I can only speak super high level. It's like the theory, what I've heard other people do. I haven't actually run it. So big disclaimer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, people again, like this is all outlined on like YouTube and stuff. $100 million leads as well. That book, phenomenal. They talk about paid ads a lot too.
Yeah, makes sense. And now we have hit over, 40-minute mark. I would hate to let you go, but yeah, it's, the time constraint is here.
Of
But
course,
I would
yeah.
love to, have you on again so pretty
Hmm.
soon. So
Cool.
thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, no, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Any closing remarks? Uh, no, just kill it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.